Alright guys, what is up? And time to continue our release tree series with the Americans. I'm very excited about this tree as some of my favorite aircrafts are being added. I just wanted to thank everyone for the support and can't wait to share more nerdgasms together with this series. Alright, so the first plane we're going to check out today is the Republic-built P-43 Lancer. When I first laid eyes on this aircraft, it looked like a smaller P-47, mainly because of the birdcage canopy and fuselage. I just think it's pretty cool how much of the P-43 Republic took and learned from to build the epic P-47. So anyways, I looked a little into the history of the P-43 and found out it wasn't the best fighter around, but for its time it was pretty fast and had a good 450 cal armament. I believe the reason this plane pretty much failed to get into high production numbers is because it just took too long to develop. This plane's first flight was in 1940 and it was still subpar to the P-40, which flew 7 kilometers faster and had 2 more 50 cals that first flew in 1938. Next up is the Grumman F3f, which was the last American biplane fighter that took to the skies. They gave this plane a nickname for good reason. It was called the Flying Barrel. I mean, just look at how big that fuselage is. I think it's just funny how they decided to add retractable landing gear to make the plane more aerodynamic. But like with the fuselage like that, I don't think there's anything you can do to counteract that drag. The B18 Bolo, this is a medium bomber that first flew in 1935, built by the Douglas Aircraft Company. I don't know about you guys, but I've never heard about this aircraft until looking it up today. I think the main reason is because it was just way too old for World War II. Even though it was introduced close to World War II, it had technology from 1929 making it pretty much ineffective for combat. It had poor defenses of only 330 cals, a small bomb load of 200 kilograms, and a top speed of 438 kilometers an hour. But anyways, a cool fact that I did find out, the few B-18s that survived the Pearl Harbor attacks were relegated to anti-submarine duty and became one of the first American aircraft to sink a German U-boat. Guys, I'm getting a nerdgasm thinking about War Thunder ships and submarines. Alright, the Apache A-36, which was a ground strike version of the P-51. Or, if you want to think of it like I do, just think of the Mustang Mark 1A with 50 cals. But yeah, pretty pumped for this plane already because as you guys know, I love the Mustang Mark 1A and I've always wanted ground strike capabilities with it, but the one in game right now doesn't have any hard points for bombs or rockets, so hopefully the A-36 will. And just to get into a little detail about this plane, it had 650 cals, an Allison liquid-cooled piston engine, and 2 underwing hardpoints that were capable of carrying 454 kilograms of bombs. The A-36 also had dive brakes that allowed it to dive at sharp angles without putting stress on the airframe. Next up is the Tbd Devastator, which was at one point the most advanced flying aircraft for the US Navy, and it's argued that the Devastator was the most advanced plane in the world at its introduction. Being introduced to the Navy in 1937 and its first flight in 1935, the plane's exterior looks quite slick and advanced, concerning that the F3f, the Flying Barrel, also made its first flight in 1935. However, as time does its job, the plane was quickly outclassed due to the outbreak of World War II drive for faster and better planes. The Tbd Devastator's lack of performance really showed during the Battle of Midway, where 41 Devastators launched and only 6 returned with no hits on targets. On the topic of naval bombing aircraft, can I please introduce a plane with one of the sickest names in aviation history? The Helldiver. This is how I picture this name with this aircraft. The pilot spots his target, radios his back gunner, we're going in. The pilot starts the dive. As the plane airspeed increases and the target gets closer, the blue water the pilot sees turns to red as he turns into a warrior diving towards hell. Woo, getting deep. But anyways, about the Helldiver, this plane was ordered to replace the SBD Dauntless as it was much faster, but the Dauntless could still carry 120 more kilograms of bomb weight. This plane will make a great addition to War Thunder in my eyes, as it has 2 20 mils in the front and a dual 30 cal operated by the back gunner. Just think of it as pretty much a slower BTD with some defense capabilities. The PB-4Y2 Privateer, a very beefy looking plane. This was a World War II patrol bomber designed from the B-24 Liberator. This plane was constructed to meet the Navy's request for a fully navalized design, as they had been using unmodified B-24s. The PB-4Y2 was smaller and faster than the B-24, and if you guys don't like how hard it is to kill American bombers now, this plane had 12 50 cals, 2 more than the B-24 and 1 less than the B-17G, making this plane a very tough opponent. The F7F Tiger Cat. Now this is one hell of a fighter. It was the first twin-engine fighter aircraft to enter service with the United States Navy. This plane was one fast SOB, topping out at 740 kilometers an hour and having 420 mils and 450 cals. This plane was basically an offspring of the F8F F1 and F2 minus the speed. I'm pretty sure the version that we are getting doesn't have carrier capabilities, as the real version of the F7F was plagued with problems such as poor directional stability and the arrestor hook would mess up sometimes, but I would have loved to swat Zeros out of the skies on some Pacific maps. The AJ Savage, which was a carrier-based medium bomber designed to carry an atomic bomb. This meant that this plane was one of the heaviest aircraft to operate on a carrier at the time. Just from looking at the AJ Savage, it looks like a normal 2-engine bomber with a sleek design. However, under the hood, it's a completely different story. The Savage used 2 Pratt & Whitney's piston engines in a turbojet in the rear fuselage. A little rhyme came out of this plane saying 2 turning and 1 burning, but anyways, the engines were dependent on each other for takeoff and landing success. Landing on the carrier, the props would do most of the work, bringing the plane in nice and slow for a rough but successful landing. On takeoff, the props and jets were full force to bring this beast up in the sky. One downside I can see about this aircraft is even though it's fast, 758 kilometers fast, the plane sports no type of offensive or defensive armament. Ooh, the P-61 Black Widow. Now this plane has gotten a lot of hype and I'm excited as well for it. Not only because it has the name of my favorite spider in the world, but because it was also the first US military aircraft designed specifically for night interception missions. Guys, this thing was scary to go up against. It was equipped with the SCR-720 radar that once within range, the pilot used a small scope to track and close on the target. Just imagine being jumped on by this plane without having any idea. Once this thing found and got on target, there was no escaping with 420 mils and 450 cals. So much burst mass. The cool thing about the P-61's 50s is that they are remotely operated and have full traverse on them. What this tells me is that the 50s on the P-61 can be offensive and defensive, as they can turn either way. Alright, so this plane I know everyone is excited about, the A1 Skyraider. This plane is so ugly but yet so sexy at the same time. Remember guys, war machines are not meant to look sexy, but god, look at that fat fuselage, straight wings, and huge prop. This plane screams sexy and destruction at the same time. The A1 Skyraider is one of the world's most famous ground attack aircraft. It served various nations for over 35 years. This is pretty remarkable to me concerning that so many props were being decommissioned for fast and more efficient jet counterparts. The pilots who flew this beast loved this plane as it was famous for taking a beating and bringing them back home to safety. Can I just show you a picture of how this plane looks completely loaded out? Oh my gosh, it looks so mean. But anyways, this plane was capable of carrying 3,600 kilograms of ordnance on 15 external hardpoints that could be equipped with bombs, torpedoes, mine dispensers, unguided rockets, gun pods, and a flipping toilet. You heard me right. It was to celebrate the 6 millionth pound of ordnance dropped in the North Vietnamese. Just amazing to me how this plane stood the test of time, as the next big thing that replaced this plane was the A-10 Thunderbolt. This next plane is going to be crazy, guys. The B-57A Canberra, which was a twin jet engine tactical bomber. So slick and sexy. Thank you, England, for licensing this plane to us. Seriously, it's awesome. But guys, this plane, said before, is going to be crazy. Not only is this plane's maximum speed 960 kilometers an hour, it's going to be a beast ground strike aircraft with capabilities of 2,000 kilograms in the bomb bays and 1,300 kilograms on external hardpoints. Oh, are you guys wondering what other types of armament this plane had? Well, it had 420 mils of the M39 cannon. That is the type of cannon that the F-86 F2 Sabre uses. So this plane can be a beast head-oner and a great support aircraft for your squad. And the plane that we have all been waiting for. Ever since the humble beginnings of War Thunder, there has been post after post after post about how this plane should be in the game, and it finally is. The B-29 Superfortress. I'm nerding out, guys. I'm so excited for this plane. You know, even though that the B-29 carried an atomic bomb, if they actually implemented that into War Thunder, it would make it completely imbalanced. But I think for an event or holiday, April Fools, we should be allowed to drop nukes on Gagilia. That huge snail from the last April Fools, I think you guys remember that. Alright, but anyways, the B-29, a super iconic aircraft, as Enola Gay, a B-29, dropped the first atomic bomb Little Boy on Hiroshima in 1945. The B-29 was the epitome of bombers in World War II, as it was fast, tough, and could carry one of the heaviest bomb loads in the world, topping out at 9,000 kilograms. The only other bomber to carry that much was a Year 2. Nah, I'm just kidding, but a modified Lancaster carrying the Grand Slam, which weighed 9,979 kilograms. This bomb was known as the Earthquake Bomb, as it was intended for it to penetrate the ground, then explode, sending shockwaves through the ground, destroying buildings. For the B-29 defensive capabilities, it had 10 50 cal stationed around the plane and 2 50 cals and 1 20 mil positioned in the tail. So that is it for the American tech tree, but I just wanted to do a little quick plane spotlight, as I really wanted this plane to be added, but I completely understand why they didn't add it. It is the B-36 Peacemaker. This plane isn't really well known at all, but holy shit, this plane was huge. The B-36 first flew in 1946, making it well inside the cutoff period, and it wasn't a prototype at all, as 384 of these bombers were produced. It sported a hybrid arrangement of 6 pusher radial engines and 4 GE turbojets, making this beast weigh at, this is empty weight, 75,500 kilograms, 41,700 kilograms heavier than the B-29, and it traveled at 672 kilometers an hour. Oh, and now on to the reason why this plane isn't being added to War Thunder. It can carry, oh my gosh, dude, 39,000 kilograms of bombs. America. Alright, pilots, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Give a like to show me that you did. It makes my day. Next up is the Russians. Peace out, guys.